Welcome to the Gotham Outsiders, our Batman book club. Making amazo copies of my family because I don't handle isolation well. I'm your host, Bat Obsessive Chris. And breaking into LexCorp because he got bored, my co-host TJ.
Hi everyone, I am your Chris proclaimed Batman acolyte.
But no team is good without its allies, so we have called in comics writer and artist Jadzia Axelrod.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
Hello.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. You come highly recommended by our good friend, Christopher Morse.
Chris is amazing. He is an angel and a saint and also my best friend. And I miss him. He moved to the other side of the country. Aww. And I know, we used to see each other all the time. He's one of the best role-playing partners I've ever had. And I'm adrift without him in so many ways.
Aww. Yeah, we love him on this show as well.
He's great.
He's our best podcasty friend as well.
And while I could talk about Christopher for this whole episode,
I mean, yeah.
Jadzia...
Christopher Morse Book Club. Let's start that podcast.
Yes. Yeah. That's now the episode. Sorry, everybody.
Can you tell us a little bit about like your books you have out and different projects?
So I've got 2 books coming out that'll be interest of your listeners, both from DC Comics.
Ooh.
I know. One is the anthology, The Wonderful Women of History, which is about the various real life women in history who have made a difference in how we live. And I am fortunate enough to have told the story of Marsha P. Johnson, the...
Oh my gosh.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for saying, oh my God, because a lot of people look at me with a blank face.
Oh, no.
Like me. I'm like,
right.
Who's that?
Oh.
Marsha P. Johnson is a legendary queer and trans rights activist. The myth is that she threw the first brick at Stonewall in the Stonewall riots.
Mm-hmm.
This has been disputed, and hilariously, the more I read about the history and the various points of view, the more I came around to maybe she did actually throw the first brick.
We can't say she didn't, so
we can't say
that's
she didn't.
pretty cool.
And she did have, this is what really tied it for me, and this is in the short I did. She had a tendency to carry around a brick in her purse.
Oh.
As a defense mechanism against cops who would hassle her.
Yeah.
So she's amazing. It's amazing that I got to write that. The art by Mick Washington is also amazing. So the whole piece it's amazing to be part of the book. Like there's so many talented people working on that. And that should be out by now. But we'll see. Okay. Like I don't take anything for granted anymore.
Oh, that is so exciting. I could spend the rest of the episode talking to you about Marsha P. Johnson, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
I
there's
think
a lot
I've
to
heard
say.
of her. I just didn't realize. I couldn't put that to the name. I didn't know.
It's cool. It's cool. Like that's the point of the book.
Yeah.
I'm gay. I have gay cred.
TJ's like, don't kick me out. I'm gay. I swear.
Yeah, so that was a delight to work on. It was a lot harder than I expected because there's just so much, and I only had so many pages because it's part of a larger book.
Yeah.
But the larger book is amazing, and everyone should pick up a copy and then send it to their friends.
Amazing. I love it.
The other book coming out from DC Comics is my baby, Galaxy, the Prettiest Star, which I wrote and is drawn by Jess Taylor. This is a graphic novel. With an original character that I created and partially own, which is wild.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So this is a new character. I'm trying to remember how much I can say.
Ooh, I love this.
I think, I can say that she's gay and trans. She's gay and trans. Which is marvelous. So we have a gay trans superhero in the DC universe proper.
Yeah.
Also,
so this is in like DC canon?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so impressive.
She is in continuity. Now, we don't get a Superman cameo or anything,
Yes.
Oh.
Yet.
It is within the world, and people talk about this is the wild thing about writing for in continuity with DC Comics.
I love it.
You can have characters talk about meeting Superman and it be like a real thing. And you don't even have to like have a Superman nudge nudge wink wink character with like the S filed off and it's like it's Superman, but it's not Superman. You don't even have to do that. You can just literally say, yeah, they met Superman once and talk about that and what that means.
You have Shazam movie moments in your comic is what you're telling me.
A little bit. I
love this.
But yeah, it's very gay, very trans.
Yes.
But it's very good. The art is amazing. Jess Taylor, they did an amazing job, just incredible. And it's so beautiful.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it's a young adult graphic novel coming out. I don't know if you've seen the ones that have come out. They did one with Raven and Beast Boy and like Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I read those.
Yeah, they're like little digest sides. It's one of those. And it's going to be such a beautiful book.
That's so exciting.
That's the two DC credits I can talk about.
Yeah, that's so the ones you can't talk about, like when you take over Batman, is what you're telling us.
Well, see, it's so funny you'd say that because I love Batman. I have the poster we talk about. I have a little action figure collection. I have so many Batman comic books. I don't really have that many Batman stories. Like I was even in a position where I was told you can pitch any character, and I was like, I'm going to do something with the Bat family. I'm going to do it. I'm going to pitch Batman, Robin, Batgirl. I don't know. I'm going to do it. I had this opportunity. Couldn't think of a thing.
Oh, no.
Like it's a character I enjoy and I love reading about, but not one I like writing.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was, now since then, I have come up with 2 ideas, both of which are not normal Batman stories in any way, shape, or form. And I'll tell you about them after we're done recording, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was like, here's my chance, right? It's like, I'm finally going to write Batman. Here's my pitch and nothing.
Well, how about we get to our little game?
Love it.
Yes.
So we've often done trivia, but we're actually doing something a little different tonight.
Oh.
Yes. TJ had
Ominous.
Yeah, I know. I never tell TJ what we're doing before we do it. It makes it more fun that way.
Speak for yourself.
I meant for me. I don't.
Okay.
So there has been a bit of a craze taking over TikTok right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to play the game Most Likely To.
Oh.
So we are going to play Most Likely To Bat Family Edition.
I'm not sure I'm familiar with this game.
Yeah, me neither.
All right. So Most Likely To is a game where I will say who is the most likely to and fill in the blank with a something.
Mm-hmm.
And you two have to decide who in the Bat family you think is the most likely to do that. I will then pick the answer I think is the best. You will have a chance to argue for your answer. So, you can be prepared to defend it. Right. And that will be the person who gets the point.
Now, is this the kind of question where there are no wrong answers, or is there absolutely a right answer and we will be chastised if we don't get it?
There is no absolute right answer, but I suspect that if you give an answer bad enough, I will chastise you anyway.
Right. Okay. She's looking at me.
I am looking directly into TJ's eyes as I say this. All right. So starting us out, who in the Bat family? And when we say Bat family, it doesn't have to be just, the main family. It can be the extended, anyone you think is connected, basically. Who in the Bat family is the person most likely to kill you by accident?
Oh, by accident.
By accident.
Oh.
Okay, TJ, you have an answer?
Damian.
By accident?
Yeah.
Never by accident.
Defend yourself, sir.
Okay, so I've brought this up a couple times. Injustice by Tom Taylor, and that's definitely a plot point. Oh. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
He accidentally kills Dick Grayson.
Yeah. I forgot. I actually did know that, and I guessed anyway. Spoiler alert for Injustice.
So in my mind, I'm thinking like Damian after he's like a little bit more
Injustice,
cuddly.
did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an alternate timeline. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
If we're talking alternate timelines, it could be anybody. Come on.
That's true. That is
All right.
true. That is
Well,
a
then,
good point.
I fixed my answer to still Damian, but after he's like a little bit more cuddly and like you're trying to snuggle up with him, but one of his assassin moves just like
Wait,
pops
okay. In this scenario, this fanfic that you've just written,
out.
this is a like adult Damian, and this is Damian's partner. Like,
I'm
what are
thinking like a small child that you are like taking care of.
Damian kills the small child?
No, Damian is the small child.
I'm adrift in this whole story. That
I'm the parent. I'm the parental figure.
Okay,
This says a lot about you, TJ.
so
This fantasy that you're creating here.
Yeah, so you are babysitting Damian.
And he kills you?
And he
By
accidentally kills me.
Okay.
All right, just put me out of my misery.
Wait, I haven't even heard the other answer, and I feel like you've lost this point. Anyway.
I know, that's how I feel.
This hurts because I love her, but I'm gonna have to say Cassandra Cain.
Ooh, okay. And what's your rationale for that?
Because she often she's very good at reading body language, is incredibly good at reading body language, but that doesn't mean she reads intentions.
Ooh.
And so she could see someone's body language and react incorrectly to it and accidentally kill someone.
So it's one of those things where you go in for a hug and you get flipped over the head kind of situation.
Right. And then she snaps your neck and like, oh.
Like, oh, shoot. Oh, shoot.
So that's really more early in her career rather than currently. But that's the one I would pick.
That makes a lot more sense to me than the whole journey that TJ took us on.
But I like TJ's journey.
Yeah.
It was a good journey.
Come on. You wouldn't want to take care of Damian on a long weekend.
I would not.
No.
No.
Okay.
Why would you want that?
Some people have Mary Poppins fantasies, and we should not begrudge TJ
Right.
his.
TJ, if you want to babysit the little hell spawn, you're welcome to do so.
Yay. I bet the pay is good.
I am sure Alfred is like cashing out money to have a weekend without Damian. He's just like, please. All right. In the Bat family, who is the person most likely to become a stripper?
Oh, Jason Todd.
Oh, that's not my answer.
What's your answer?
Dick Grayson.
All right. Both of you defend your answers.
All right. Well, Jason Todd always is a little sleazy, and that's part
Yeah.
of his charm. I don't think
Yes.
anyone's going to argue with me on that one.
No, we love
And
it.
right, yeah. And I think he would look as being a stripper as like, if he had to as an undercover thing, he would be all over it. He'd be like, yes, I'm going to do this. And he's going to be a little greasy again, but then again, part of his charm. So I think he would absolutely 100% leap into going undercover as a stripper, enjoy it more than perhaps it is warranted. And maybe continue long after the case is solved.
Yeah, they at one point they're like, you don't have to be undercover anymore. And he's like, what do you mean undercover?
It's like, yeah, well, but see, Tito couldn't come in today. And I was like, sure, I'll take an extra shift.
He just looks them dead in the eyes and he's like, you know what doesn't pay well? Being a vigilante.
Right. And if I may argue against TJ's thing, I feel like Dick Grayson would be too embarrassed to actually go on stage.
I could see that.
You think? Okay, to be fair, I have not read a lot with Dick Grayson.
Okay. You just,
but-
TJ, be honest. You just wanted to see that butt.
I was gonna say maybe I'm biased because that's what I want to see.
All right. Well, the question is not who would be the best naked, because then Dick does win. We all agree on that.
We could all agree. Most famous butt in comics.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's a gymnast, of course. Like circus acrobats are always incredibly beautiful. Let's
Agreed.
So
We're just gonna let that slide.
We talked with Alex Jaffe and he was like, yeah, Dick will try anything once. So I was like, okay, that seems like a safe answer.
Okay.
I mean, that's fair.
I feel like in the bedroom, maybe. Like if you were Dick's
Okay.
partner and you're like, do a strip for me, I think he'd be
Yeah.
down. But like
Hey,
on stage.
wear this jock
Right.
strap.
Yeah, I think he'd do it. I think you're right, but I don't think he's as likely to exhibit himself as
Right.
Jason Todd is.
Which of the two is more
Okay.
likely? And I
See,
would
in
say
my
Jason
head,
Todd.
every answer Jadzia was giving about why Jason would do it, I was like, well, that's what I was thinking about Dick. So that goes to show how well I don't know Dick.
Yeah, I think you don't know
In more
Dick.
than one way. I don't know Dick.
Well, you've got plenty of time to learn.
Either one of you, for a bonus point, have a stripper name for your person.
Oh yes. Let's see. Jason Todd has to come out as Big Red.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes.
No,
TJ?
maybe like something to do with like old chum.
What did you say to me?
Isn't that what Bruce says to Dick all the time in the 60s show?
I'm sorry. You think old chum is a stripper name?
It could be. We'll make it work.
It creates an image. I'm not sure if it's the right image, but it is a image. And
Chris,
so props to that.
Chris has been KO'd over here. I don't know if we're gonna make it. Oh, wow. Okay. TJ, and I say this with the greatest amount of love, I didn't think I'd find a game that you were worse at than my trivia.
Oh, that stings.
I love you. I love you. All right. All right. So, who is the most likely to die of something stupid?
Oh, well, all right. There's two answers to this.
Mm.
One is the metatextual answer, as in who are the editors going to say should die of something stupid? And one is the actual character-based answer.
Right. I'm looking for the character-based answer, but I am very curious of what you think the editors would do as well.
The metatextual answer is Stephanie Brown, because this has happened several times.
Oh, that hurt right in the feels.
Right.
I'm pretty sure she just dies of being a woman in DC most of the time.
An argument could be made, yes. The character answer is Damian, because Damian is not has poor impulse control.
That's true. That's real.
And so if anyone was going to be in a situation deadly enough to kill them for a stupid reason, it would be Damian.
And he would be so mad to die of a stupid reason.
Oh,
like it would infuriate him.
He would be insufferable in the afterlife.
Yeah, you would, when he inevitably comes back, as all Robins do, he would be like, we do not talk about how I died. And Jason would just constantly bring it up.
Exactly.
All right, TJ, what do you got?
I don't have an answer. I forfeit this question.
Oh, I feel like I've demoralized you. I'm so sorry.
No, now I'm realizing like how much I don't know these characters.
Oh no.
No, like, okay, so I'm on a journey of discovery here as the acolyte, and I was like, okay, I'm like figuring things out, but this is a whole bucket full of truth. That's just not poured on me. Like, I got a long way to go.
Wow, I feel like I need to give you one more to redeem yourself. Do you think you want to try?
Yeah, I can do one more.
Okay. All right, here's one you'll have fun with at the very least. Who in the Bat family do you think has the highest body count? And I am not talking about dead bodies.
Oh. Well, now.
I took a swerve right there at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Dick Grayson again.
I think you can make that argument.
Again, having not read much with Dick Grayson, but talking about him at length with Alex Jaffe, I'm like, Dick, like, I don't know. He seems like he gets
maybe
around.
I'll have to think about it.
I'm gonna have to go with the OG millionaire playboy, Bruce Wayne himself.
Oh.
Now, see, this is interesting. I'm now in a position of having to figure out what I think the answer is among these two, and I'm not actually sure, because we have a running theory on this show that Bruce Wayne does not actually fuck that many people.
See, I would disagree with that.
Okay, give it to me.
I think as someone who trains as hard as he does and thinks about the human body as much as he does, would also realize that, hey, to be at peak performance, I also need some sort of regular sexual release.
You make a compelling and science-based argument. I still kind of hold on to this idea. We have talked about how some people headcanon him as asexual because of some of the evidence in recent comics of the way he talks about sexuality and things like that. So I'm not sure. I'm on the fence.
Well, I think it all depends on which approach and which writer. I think you could certainly make an argument in recent issues.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, having read a lot of those Silver Age books.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Bruce was getting around.
That is true. That is true. So fair. But has he had more sex than Dick Grayson?
He has more years on Dick too.
He does.
That's true. But he's
I guess it all depends on like the sliding continuity and how long Dick's career as Robin really was.
He may have only had about 5 years on him, depending on the writer.
Can I tell you, I love the sliding continuity in a way that most people hate it, because I love the idea that Tim Drake's tenure of Robin was like the worst 3 months of his life.
What tenure?
Yeah, except for the times when he never was Robin.
Right, except for those.
Every once in a while, we tell that to a guest and it blows their absolute mind, and we have to sit there in silence for a while.
I will say, I listened to you talk about that with Chris, and I looked it up, and apparently they have retconned that, and he was Robin.
I know, for now.
For now. And then they're going to retcon it again. He's not going to be Robin again. It's going to be great.
He just never knows. He's in a constant state of not knowing whether he was or not
Schrodinger's Robin.
Yes.
You don't know if he's actually Robin until you look at him.
I like the thought that he's not sure anymore. That at this, he's like, did it happen? Was it a dream?
Probably isn't.
All right. I am going to declare this a draw this round. Let's be clear. You lost very much, TJ. But this round,
that last round is a draw. Absolutely.
I think it's a draw because I'm torn. Because my other thought was the fact that Dick Grayson is sort of a serial dater, right? Like he has one person at a time most of the time. So I don't know that his body count would be that high. All right. Let's get into the meat of the book because we've got something to talk about today. Right. What is our book?
Oh, today we are talking about Batwoman Elegy by Greg Rucka
and J.H. Williams III.
Yeah, so Jadzia, why did you pick this book? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I picked it for 3 reasons. One, it is beautiful.
Yes.
2, it was groundbreaking at the time that it was. And 3, it is incredibly disappointing. And those are my 3 reasons.
I'm excited to hear about this.
Yeah.
Also,
and we'll get into it. What's great about it is, like, obviously you asked me to be on the show, and my first thought was to talk about not Batman, but the Bat Ladies.
Absolutely.
And it was like, well, I'm a queer woman. I want to talk about the lesbian Bat family member.
Yeah.
As one
easily.
Does.
And so this was I thought my memory of this book was that it would be a good hop on. Rereading it, I was like, this was not the best Batwoman book to choose, because there's a lot of like loose plot threads from the 52 series that came right before it. But the main reason it's disappointing is it's very much like, I love Greg Rucka.
Yeah.
I love his writing. I loved his run on Wonder Woman. His Atticus Kodiak prose novels are great. But this is definitely a straight man writes about lesbians.
Yeah.
And if you go into it thinking like, this is going to be a lesbian superhero, I'm excited. There's a lot of stuff in there that is like, we're trying to show that she's not just a lesbian. And it's like, I don't care about that stuff, A. And B,
yeah.
you know any queer people? All they do is talk about how gay they are.
That is this entire show.
Right? Exactly. So it's like a really cool, it was real, like I remember getting this and like really cool to get it and to read it and then to be like, that was underwhelming. Not in the sense that the story is underwhelming, because it's a fun story. I love the story. The gay representation is underwhelming. And we can talk about the ways that it falls a little short. As we go.
I also wanted to talk about Greg Rucka a little bit, because I was realizing he writes queer characters all the time.
He does. And you think he'd be better at it.
I was going to say, sometimes to better effect than this, I think.
I mean, here's the thing. I love his Montoya and I love his question. Whenever he writes about like Montoya being gay, as opposed to Montoya doing other things, it comes off as very... I don't want to say this I'm going to say it in a negative way, but I usually don't. Soap opera-y. And like, normally I love soap opera, but like, it's not nuanced. And like,
no.
And part of like the biggest thing, and I was thinking about this, is like, what really rings hollow about this book is like, where are her gay friends?
Yes, I feel like that's always often the case in comics too, where you're like, how did you find the only gay person who isn't constantly surrounded by gay people?
Right. It's so strange. It's like, especially considering that Kate is supposed to have this history of like being like a wild girl. Like, there is no way she doesn't have at least 5 exes who are now her dearest friends.
Yes.
Like, that's not how that works.
Exactly.
I feel like she had like no friends at all.
She has no friends,
true,
which is really weird. And I think that's the first thing that straight people miss.
Yeah.
Is like, there's never a strong queer community around the queer person.
Yeah. That's the thing about the trope of the token gay friend that always rings untrue, right? Because a lot of times, TJ and I've talked about this, we sometimes have a token straight friend,
right?
But, not usually
Mine is
the other
Chris
way.
Morse. Shout out.
Oh my God, same.
I know, I was gonna say.
He's a great straight friend. He just is really great.
They were like, to make up for the lack of gay, let's throw in a Rachel Maddow introduction.
Right.
I don't know if you guys had that.
and one more thing before we get into the book proper is like her first villain is Alice.
Yes.
And it's like they've created a female villain that she can never have any sort of sexual tension with. That
is true.
Like,
how sad is that?
Spoiler alert, because we're going to talk about it anyway. Alice is her sister, so it's not going to happen there, right? But also, Alice's whole thing is this kind of childlike demeanor, and that's not sexy. So it's like,
yeah, how sad is that? How sad is that she doesn't have her Catwoman? That's like,
right?
Oh, that would have been so good. Oh,
thank you.
The longing that I feel right now.
Right, and so like. And I get why they chose to do that, because it was like, it's not just about her being a lesbian, it's about other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But also, when are we going to see the hot hero villain makeout?
We just put a sticker on it. We're like, could be gayer.
Yeah. Oh, so, yes.
Was this the first Batwoman like main story?
Yes, this was when she took over Detective Comics. So this wasn't her Batwoman series. Like, she didn't have Batwoman #1 until later, but this was part of Detective Comics when she took over.
See, that surprised me, because when I jumped into it, I felt like I was missing something. So right. I thought there had been a previous Batwoman title or something.
No, see, and again, this is why this was a silly thing for me to choose, as beautiful and as wonderful as it is. Because there's a lot of plot points that are carried over from the 52 miniseries, or maxi series. I guess if it goes on a year, it's more than a miniseries.
Yeah, probably.
But so there's stuff with like the crime Bible and the cult of crime and all this stuff that kind of bleeds over, which you can kind of pick up what happened in context clues. But there is definitely like, this is a weird way to start the adventures of Batwoman. to have these dangling plot threads.
Yeah, they're like, oh, she got stabbed in the heart. And I'm like, when? Where was that?
Right. Yeah.
It does. Like, it feels in the middle, like really in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have wrapped up the 52 threads like in the second storyline, but you know, I'm not writing Batwoman yet.
Yet. Now, TJ, so was this your first Batwoman that you've read?
I mean, we read her in the Detective Comics that we did previously, but this is the first solo title for her, kind of, that we've read, since you're saying this was a Detective Comics run before they collected it.
And you
as Batwoman.
You haven't read her before, is what I'm asking, though.
Right. This is my first Batwoman title I've ever done.
Yeah. So how confusing was this for you? I'm curious. I was following a little bit because of things I do from other stuff. So
right. I mean, I watched the TV show, so I'm like an episode and a half into season 2, which is a whole different story.
Yeah.
But,
literally.
You know, right. I mean, Alice was the main part of season 1. So like I knew Alice. I liked TV Alice more than I liked book Alice so far. I was kind of underwhelmed with Alice as a character here. And can one of you tell me, was she speaking in all Alice in Wonderland quotes?
For the most part.
It certainly felt like it.
That's what I thought. I thought literally every line, I thought it was an Alice in Wonderland quote. And even if it wasn't, I found myself like to a point I wasn't paying attention to what she was saying.
That's fair.
Weird.
Well, and one thing I like about Alice in the comics is it's very clear she's trying too hard.
Yeah. It's a sweaty performance.
It's a sweaty performance. Like she's a little over her head. And so she's doing this stuff to kind of like be a supervillain.
Yeah.
In a lot of the same ways that Kate is doing stuff to be a superhero. And so it's a nice take that I think would have been better if they had done a little more.
Yeah. I think the moment that it works is when Kate literally calls it out, where she's like, isn't there already a villain doing this? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Mad Hatter. Shout out.
Shout out to one of my least favorite characters, Mad Hatter. So where do we start off? Oh, pretty much like immediately with Covens, right? Like, isn't that?
Oh gosh.
Oh, well, here's what I love. So we start off with her being a superhero.
Yes.
And then we already immediately have the obligatory Batman approval appearance, which all Gotham vigilantes must have. He either visits you and says you're fine to do what you like, or tells you to stop it.
Harper Row.
Right. Or get a haircut. Which how did you guys feel about that?
No, she didn't get a haircut. It's a wig. It's always been a wig.
Yeah, but I did shriek that he said that. I was like, did Alfred not raise you better, Bruce? Come on.
He wouldn't know it's a wig though.
No.
Right. Well, that's the thing is like I like for Greg Rucka for this is because he had the obligatory Batman appearance, but he had Kate show him up twice, which is nice, like for good measure, because like
we love it.
Bruce doesn't know that there's 13, not 12 Covens. He doesn't know she's wearing a wig. Like this is the world's greatest detective, and she's already got an edge on him, which is it's a nice dig. And I like that.
I love this, and this falls into my growing headcanon. The more Batman we read, that I truly believe that Batman does not know as many things as he claims to, and that sometimes he's just faking it. This is like, having read as many as we have, I'm like, I think that sometimes he's like, yeah, I knew that all along, and he had no idea.
I didn't know how you guys would feel about this part of their first interaction, because like to me, I was reading it as like, okay, here's this man trying to lecture this woman on like how to do her job that she's doing better than he is, kind of. Right.
Yeah, I think that's
and also this is not their first interaction. This is again, they met in 52.
Yeah, but I would say it's intentional, right? I think that's what's supposed to be taken from it, that he's being a bit of a dick here.
And this is what, when did this come out? 2009. So this is definitely within the Bat Dick era of just him being an absolute jerk to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. See, reading it, I didn't know if this was supposed to be the first time of them meeting or not. Of course, later we find out.
I was gonna say, we see a flashback later, but
right in the moment, I was like, "Oh, was this the first time they met?" I was a little unclear about that.
Yeah, there's a lot that's a little unclear in this book, so don't feel bad, is what I'm saying.
That is fair.
Like, I know we're talking about some of the more negative parts of the portrayal of her sexuality, but I do like that her being a lesbian like wasn't a big deal. Like, I felt like a natural part of the story.
Right.
Except a couple moments when it was weirdly a big deal, but
right in the flashbacks later.
Yeah. And it's it was like I said, it was groundbreaking book when it came out. Like, this is really important and meaningful. It hasn't aged as well as far as representation now.
Okay, so do you think so you don't think it's aged well?
I think in some ways. I think if Batwoman were being launched now, I think it would be a little less we have to show that she's not just a lesbian. I think it probably wouldn't be written by a straight man if it was done now.
I would hope not.
So, like, it's I think there's ways it would be different. I do like the scene in the diner though.
I do too.
And I also hate it. Like, this is the thing. Like, I like it because Kate is a bad girlfriend. And that's a wonderful character element. That she's just Kate's a bad girlfriend. That's just who she is. But I don't like her soon-to-be ex-girlfriend's whole "you're not like the other lesbians"
monologue.
My gosh.
That was, so she's like, "You're not wearing flannel," and what was the other thing? And I was like, oh no.
It's again, it's one of those things that's like, she's a lesbian, but not one of those lesbians.
Oh gosh.
Chris, you always say not your mother's Batman. Well, can we say not your mother's lesbian?
This is not your mother's lesbian.
It's not your mother's lesbian. Kate's a different kind of lesbian. She wears lipstick. It's gosh. It was so bad.
It's bad. It is
bad. So we began then with basically right away with the cults and covens, and I gotta say, TJ knows because I texted him immediately. I was like, "We have another cult, TJ. We have a cult."
There's so many cults in Gotham. There is just something about Gotham that's like, this is the place to start a weird religion.
I was not expecting werewolves.
Oh my gosh!
Like, when I was when I recommended it, I was like, this is my memory of this book, which I haven't read in years. Was like, this is a nice, Greg Rucka grounded, gritty, realistic vigilante story. And then I read it and it's like, oh, there's werewolves in this.
There's werewolves and monsters. There's cults and covens. I'm not gonna lie though, that is my thing. I was here for it,
and I love it. Like, the werewolves, I was against it at the beginning because I was like, why are there werewolves in this? And then, upon consideration, I came back around. And the werewolves are great because they echo the story motif of things being not what they seem. Which is delightful.
Yes.
But they also underscore the surreal fantasy of being Batwoman versus the kind of mundane realism of being Kate Kane.
Yes. So that is literally in my notes where one of my favorite things is when supernatural and mundane mix. That's like my favorite trope. I'm going to say something wild, so go with me on this journey. I was reading it and I was like, what does this feel like to me? Like a spiritually like to me. And the answer was Riverdale.
No, I get it.
Okay, right, because I was like, there's something about like, okay, so now we have cults, okay, werewolves, okay, there's werewolves, okay, now dating problems, oh, conversation with your dad, we're back to the werewolves, some reason there's a swamp monster, okay, cults. And I was like, yeah, okay.
The one thing that would be different is like, because the visual style is so wonderful in this book. We haven't talked about that at all, but it's like, when she is Batwoman and when she's dealing with werewolves and Alice and all this stuff, it's this lush, painted style with crazy, bizarre layouts.
Yes. Oh, let's linger on the art for a minute. It's so good.
But then when she's just being Kate Kane and her secret identity, all the layouts are very six panels in a grid. The coloring is very flat. It's very heavy ink lines.
Yeah.
And so there's this conscious choice between visually her life normally and her life as Kate Kane. So to continue your Riverdale analogy, it would be like if half of Riverdale was animated. Like whenever something crazy happened, it was animated. And then when we were back to just normal high school stuff, it was all the actors.
Right. So Riverdale is too weird all of the time is the problem.
Right. This is what I'm saying.
That is fair. That is fair. So the I guess what I'm saying is the Batwoman parts of it feel like Riverdale.
Absolutely they do.
Yeah.
I love your analysis on the structure of the panels, because the only thing I took away from this was, man, if I have to read one more splash, like 2-page splash, I'm gonna lose my mind, because they're just so hard to follow sometimes, but they look beautiful.
You kind of have to sit with them, and that's an interesting design choice, because a lot of the book you can read very quickly.
Yes.
And then occasionally they will do a I say they, but I mean it's Williams. Occasionally Williams will do these mandalas of panels that you have to like sit and look at, and he's forcing you to stop in your reading and look at what everything's doing to understand what's going on.
And it so evokes emotion too. All of the shapes, all of the, and there are a bunch of different ones. Like you said, there's the mandalas, there's sort of the jagged ones. Everything has a tone to it. And I love it. I was like swimming in the art of this book.
If you're a procrastinator like me and you're trying to fly through this really quick, you're like, God, another one.
Yeah, that would be a stumbling block.
Yeah.
For sure.
This is like the time, I was going to say, this is like the time when you tried to binge read The Long Halloween and realized it's all text.
Yep. But no, the art is beautiful. And did you guys pick up on the flashback art is very much like the Batman Year One art style?
Yes. And also on top of that, when we see Kate's father in battle, it's done in the style of Joseph Kubert and Sergeant Rock comics. Which
I loved how
blew my mind.
I loved all the different switches. That was really brilliant.
In the flashback, there's the scene where she meets Batman for the first time, and he's like colored in a very realistic way.
Yeah.
And just everything else is flat.
He's again that fantasy figure, and she's still in the flat, mundane life.
While we're talking about Batwoman just constantly one-upping Batman, can we talk about that scene? Because it cracked me up so hard. Where he clearly is coming to rescue her and gets there right after she's done. And he just kind of like offers his hand and pulls her up, and he like pieces out because there was nothing left to do.
It's very Tuxedo Mask in that moment.
It is. It's the best thing I've ever heard.
She didn't do anything.
Yep, he's just like, yep, I helped. All right, bye.
So out of all the girls in this comic that Kate kind of has a thing with, who was your favorite?
It's only the two, right?
There was Maggie Sawyer, and Sophie.
Renee. Oh, I forgot about Sophie.
Yeah, and she's like expanded on in the TV show.
Yeah, Sophie doesn't have much character in this. Can I say?
Yes, please.
What I love about this book too is that Kate Kane dates the two canon DCU lesbians at the time. Like she has already dated Montoya, so of course she now has to flirt with Maggie Sawyer because there's no one else. Kate Godwin died years ago. They are done. They don't have any more.
It was also just truly wild that the only two were cops, and there was a whole conversation about
right, they had to lampshade it.
And I was sitting there like, what?
Oh,
I love Maggie Sawyer though. I love her.
I do.
Because she's in superhero comics, so she's always drawn the way all women are drawn in superhero comics, which is that she has a sideline as a bikini model.
Yeah.
But her personality is always this brassy dyke. Like she should be as wide as she is tall, with a mullet, just like the kind of woman at the gay bar who's going to invite you over to her home later for a little noshira and to pat her dog. Like that's who she is. And I like, there was a little nod to that in that she has the stupidest tux on.
I loved that when she shows up and she's so smooth too. Her line where she's like, a tuxedo is the only thing you don't mind showing up in the same outfit as someone else.
Right. Well, and we have Kate coming down in this very stylish, wonderful tuxedo.
Yes.
And then here comes Maggie Sawyer looking like a matador. Just
she looked ready to go to her high school prom.
Right. Yeah. It was
she is.
And like I hated it, but also I loved it because it's
perfect.
very much in character for her.
Oh, and their dance. I loved the whole scene with her and Maggie. I thought that was great.
My only exposure to Maggie before now was on the Supergirl show, where she's very different.
She's very different.
Yeah.
But she is like a brassy dame in the comics, and she's a supporting character in the Bruce Timm Superman cartoon show.
Yeah.
And she's great in that too. She's one of my favorites.
So are you guys team Maggie versus team Renee?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think here's the thing. Kate is a bad girlfriend. Like she shouldn't date anyone.
That's actually fair. This is like whenever anyone tries to ship anyone with Batman, including myself, because I do it occasionally, and I'm like, do I want that for them?
What I love is that we see Kate being a bad girlfriend in the beginning, and it's like, oh no, that girlfriend doesn't understand. She's being a superhero. That's all. And then we see in flashbacks that no, Kate has been a bad girlfriend all the time.
Right. Yeah, it is. The superhero is the newest reason that she's a bad girlfriend.
She's just like a really hot woman who is just a horrible girlfriend. Yeah. Like those exist, and I'm glad they're getting representation.
I liked her with Renee. I thought their flashbacks were really sweet. And then of course, like she says something really offensive to her, but then she tries to she apologizes, and I was on Team Kate there. I wanted them to work out.
Yeah, I mean, but also like that's if you've read Rucka's other Renee work, you know that her not being out is like this. It's a bruise that if you poke, it's gonna bleed. Mm-hmm. And especially at this time that it's supposed to take place in Renee's journey.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But Renee calls her a slut later, so now they're even.
I think that was the moment when I was not Team Renee. But I mean, as you're saying, I don't know that Kate is ready for a relationship.
Right, like Renee deserves better. And honestly, so does Kate.
Yeah, that's fair. You know, they're bad for each other. So should we talk about Alice a little bit? So we've kind of talked around Alice.
Sure.
Yeah, let's talk about
her Queen Amidala lipstick going on.
Right.
She is the Alice in Wonderland that Tim Burton wishes he'd created. Let's be honest.
I really like Alice's look.
Me too.
I want her to be a better character.
She really isn't a character. I feel like. Yeah. No, but she looked amazing. I love every.
I love that she keeps personalized razor blades in her mouth.
Oh my gosh!
Who do you contact to say I want a skull on my razor blade, please?
I assume it's whoever puts the little bats on Batman's boots. Like
right?
You know, like why?
I feel like Alice in the show has a lot of personality, so I was expecting more from her here.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe she does
very different characters.
I don't know. I haven't read past this book, of course.
Yeah, well, and it's again the thing that, and I like that we learn that like all of this is a front, that Alice is not crazy.
Yeah.
That she is trying to be crazy to fit the role of a supervillain, and like I love that moment where she's falling out of the plane and she tells Batwoman that what's the line? You have our father's eyes.
Yes.
Which is. And she does it not in her crazy Alice balloon, but in a regular, normal voice balloon.
I think was that the only time she did that? Because I didn't pick up on that she wasn't crazy. I noticed the color change, but I didn't read into it. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So and like I said, I like that she's like trying to be a villain in the same way that Kate is trying to be a hero, but I don't think it's as successful as it is with Kate. And part of that is we spend more time with Kate, obviously.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to be too critical of this being a writer and knowing you only have so many pages to tell these stories.
Mhm.
And especially if you're taking up valuable page real estate with these double page spread
Yeah, that's fair.
panels.
That is fair.
Less space.
Yeah. We don't have time to develop Alice. We've got werewolves. Like,
right. And like all that stuff with her dad. Can I say, I'm of two minds about the dad.
Please, I want to talk about the dad.
Because like on the one hand, I like that Kate has a support system, right? I like that she has someone who knows, like she's not tiptoeing around her secret identity with.
Yeah.
Like, this is someone who knows what's going on and helping her out and being backup. Like, I love that.
Right.
I don't like her dad as a character, and I don't want her dad to be her support system. Like, I want it to be, I want it to be a woman, and I want it to be another lesbian, maybe. I don't know. Like, it feels weird for this character who is an adult and is an adult superhero, also has such a has such a strong parental relationship.
Yeah.
Like it's like she's not allowed to be her own woman in the same way that Batman is allowed to be his own man.
Yeah.
Because she's so tied to him.
It's odd. It's weird. Like there are moments of it that are kind of cute in this story, but just as an overall concept, I'm in total agreement with you. It seemed odd.
Well, it's another one of those, like, she's not just a lesbian, she's got a dad. How much of a gay woman can she be if she has a dad? Oh my gosh. And I think that's also, it's to separate her from Batman, right? There's a lot of stuff in here that is literally there just to separate her from Batman. And one of them is to show that she has one more parent than he does.
She wins.
Don't say that. Don't make him cry.
No.
Batman's clutching the pearls somewhere.
Yeah. I was hesitant of her dad from reading Detective Comics.
Yes. This is different, right?
Yeah. So I was expecting to not like him that much, but you know, that scene where she kind of comes out to him and he says that he's proud of her, like, that was really sweet.
That scene was when I said there were a few that like worked for me. That one did, and it took me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. There was something really lovely in the you know, integrity was this value that they shared, and it was the thing that kind of connected them in that moment, which I really liked. I thought that was sweet.
I think that was my favorite.
That does work.
Yeah, I think it was my favorite too, TJ. I'm with you. That was really good.
I feel like the first half of the book is its own thing, and then we have the second half, which is basically almost all flashbacks.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think that's
I did not enjoy the first half in terms of like plot and writing. I love the art, of course, but the second half is where I was like, okay, this is what I came for. So I wish they had like chopped up the flashbacks a little bit more and like scattered them.
Yeah, I could have seen that.
I agree with you on this because I had the exact opposite reaction. I was like, the Batwoman stuff, werewolves, I'm having so much fun. We've got cults going on, and then I was like, everything went to a screeching halt so we could have some flashbacks.
Right. Yeah.
So I think I disagree on which part I like better, but the solution makes sense to me. To kind of have spread it out would have made more sense.
Did you guys catch the circle motif in the flashbacks? I loved that. I love the circle motif. Like every scene in the flashback begins and ends with a circle. Close up, it starts with a soccer ball and then goes with a poppy plant, and then there's headlights and street lamps and eyes.
That's so lovely.
And it's all to come down to one of the final flashback scenes, which is her looking up at the bat signal.
Yeah,
like,
that was so pretty.
This is what we're building to. It's very cute.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's interesting reading this because it's packaged, like I have the hardcover, which is very beautiful, and it's packaged like this is a graphic novel.
Yeah,
right.
It's not. It's a collection of shorts from Detective Comics that are all squished together and that deal with plot points from another series entirely.
Yeah, I think my problem was I was reading it as a graphic novel and like if it was written today, and I feel like if it was, I feel like my complaints would have been taken into account.
Now I was having a galaxy brain moment as I was reading this, and I need the two of you to tell me if I just made this up.
All
so,
right.
So as I've mentioned, the cult part is my favorite part. I love a cult.
Cult part is great.
I'm here for a cult at all times. It's why I love the Court of Owls. You know, I'm here for a cult. But I was really trying to get my hands around what this cult was. And obviously it was like carryover from the 52. So I didn't have information. So I was just trying to guess what that information was. So they pray to Cain, which in this case, I'm assuming is referring to the biblical Cain, probably.
You're correct.
But is it relevant that her name is also Cain, or is that just a coincidence?
It is a coincidence that they are seeing as relevant.
Okay, so that's when they're saying like the twice named, they are talking about the fact that her name is Cain.
Well, they're talking about the fact that her name is Kate Kane and her name is also Batwoman,
and that they pray to Cain.
But at the end, doesn't she say Alice and also Beth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at the end, she's like twins, and like so. To me, I thought she figured out like, oh, the twice named daughter was the fact like that they were twins.
The crime cult is one of those really neat ideas that is uneven in its execution.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I liked about it in 52 was that it was just so wildly weird.
Yeah, I love it.
And one of the wildly weird parts is they latch on to Batwoman because she's Batwoman and her secret identity is Cain, like Cain, who they worship because he invented crime by doing the first murder.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. I love that it's called the crime cult. I was cracking up the whole time. I was like, yes.
Yeah. There's a whole crime Bible, and like Mannheim is supposed to be the crime prophet. It's like it's gets amazing. Into some delightfully weird places that nevertheless that some of it is great and some of it is like, this is not the best idea you guys have ever had.
Why has this not been resurrected? Because we also have no, I'm serious, because Cass Cain exists, and I'm just saying she could have her own Cain cult.
See, I
don't understand why Cass Cain is not a supporting character in Kate Kane's life.
Like, it's because people would be too confused. I
don't know. I think it would be cute. I think it would be really cool if like they were partners in the same way that like really Batman cute. And Batgirl and Robin are partners, and they did, lady really adventures. Cute.
I would love it. Yes. And they would have to be at least one panel where they're like, I know both of our names are Cain, but spelled different. We're not related.
Right, it would be a running gag.
Yes. In the detective comics, they were hanging out, but
we don't really get much with them together, though. It's the whole team.
Gotcha.
No, you were saying you felt differently, TJ, about which part?
Just with the weird cult stuff, the cat people. The one guy looked exactly like the big cat man from Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Yes, 100%.
I wonder if that's on purpose. It may be.
He looks so much like him.
You're not saying anything that's making me like it less.
Right.
I don't
So for me, I was like, this is a little bit too weird for me. It pulled me out of the story. I don't know. Yeah, I'm the complete opposite there.
I mean, but you got to it. You knew that I would be screaming about it today, right? Like, this is very much on brand.
Of course.
The only thing that would have made this more on brand is if they worshipped Tim Drake.
That's the sequel.
That would be great.
There's just not enough in this story. I think it could be improved by more. Like a lot of the problems that I have with it are because there's just not enough time and page space to bring in more characters, like a gay support system for Kate.
Yeah, please.
Bring in more detail about the villain and what she's on about. Can I also say, like, doing a dirty bomb over Gotham, like, that's fine. But that doesn't have any panache.
No, so many villains have done that.
Right? Like Laughing Fish, this is not.
Yeah.
And
who hasn't done that at this point? Come on.
I would have liked to see something more on theme. Like, if you're going to try this hard, Alice, come on.
Yeah. She needed a like mass beheading. Just something.
Because it
something
was
like that.
Like, it was nice to have like a whole little plane action sequence, and I liked how it was executed, but also it was like anybody can steal a plane.
Right.
Who hasn't stolen a plane?
Yeah, this is Gotham. That's an everyday occurrence.
Right. Like, you could put any in that final villain role, you could have put the Riddler, you could have put the Penguin, you could have put anybody in the plane. And it would have been the same. And
I'm now imagining Alice about to steal a plane and one of the other villains is like already stealing that one.
No, we're taking this one.
Like, Raish got that one first.
Now, Jadzia, did you enjoy the flashbacks? Like, are you on Team Chris or Team TJ? She's on Team TJ. Okay.
No, I like the flashbacks. And I like the flashbacks in the different style. I like that there was an attempt, again, there's limited space to kind of give the kids versions of Alice and Batwoman kind of a little personality, which is great. Again, I would have liked more.
Yeah.
I would have liked, because there's a lot, one thing that's especially in the flashbacks, but really through the whole book. And I think this is just because there's not enough space. There's a lot of telling instead of showing.
Yes.
Like I would have loved to see the scene where that little 12-year-old boy tells Beth, thinking that it's Kate, that he likes her.
That was cute.
And like stuff like that, I would have liked to have seen rather than just shown. And I realize you only have so much time, especially like, can I just say, like, I only had, I think, 12 pages to tell Marsha P. Johnson's story in.
Ooh,
and she did a lot of things.
Yeah, for real. That is a feat.
So I get it. It's like limited space. You don't want to introduce too many characters because everyone is going to be like, oh, is that boy important? Did he turn into a werewolf later?
Like, but what if he had?
What if he had? Like,
what? See, I feel like, I agree with what you're saying. I think the limited space did it, but I think it could have been done in this amount of space. I think it
could have been, like, if there's another story that's told as more of a graphic novel and it's the same page count, but things are spread out a little differently.
Yeah.
And like, that is a different story. And I think that would have been, I think it would be a really interesting read in that alternate universe.
I agree.
I think that this was kind of a little hogtied by the limitations of, because everything's written for the trade now. Yeah. And this, I don't think I think there was a real, you can feel it because Greg Rucka is nothing if not a professional. You can feel it like, this is the beat we do on page 12. This is the beat we do on page 18. Flip the page. Here's the other story beat so that we leave on a cliffhanger on page 22.
Yeah.
And like, that's there and it's brilliant. Like each one of those is great. I love the scene where Kate just shoots Alice in the chest. Like we don't know that gun's not lethal. Yeah. But she's just like, again, this is another one of those character moments where like, she's not Batman because she just picks up a gun and shoots someone in the chest and says whatever, because she's not interested in understanding her villains.
That was my favorite moment too.
But then we find out later she has the Batman role.
Yes.
And I'm like, what is that role? To beat them up as much as you can, but not kill them?
Just
that's it.
A hair shy of death is that role. No, I wanted to bring this up because there is all these like moments where it's clearly she's supposed to be sort of a foil to Batman, but they don't, they're still defining her by Batman. And so it doesn't actually feel that different because, okay, her one parent is alive, but he kind of fills the Alfred role in her life. You know, like she has the slightly more violent, I guess. Is she? Batman's real violent. So I don't
I think they're on par.
Yeah, right. But she acts like she's more violent, but also because she's following his rule.
In other stories, it's established that she is more willing to kill someone if necessary.
Yeah.
Like she does not see that as a line you definitely do not cross.
Yeah.
But that's not evident here.
Yeah. Well, because she says it. Yeah, I was gonna say she says she always follows it. So at this point, at least, that's what she's telling her dad.
Yeah. I like Batwoman as a character because she's very complex.
Yeah.
Like she has a lot of influences on her life. She's trying to be a superhero, but she's coming from very violent and very violent training that is not superhero training.
Yeah.
Like Batman trained to be a superhero. She trained to be a soldier. Those are two very different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I find that very interesting. And also she's not a dark character. Like she has fun and she goes out and she is driven when there is a reason to be driven, but when there's not a reason to be driven, she's not. And I like that a lot. And a lot of writers don't kind of get those two opposite ends of her character and they focus on one or the other, which always feels weird.
Do we want to kind of touch on, I know we mentioned that there's some problems with the way she is presented as queer. Do we want to kind of touch on those moments as we have flashback to early relationships? We have flashback to military.
Yeah, no, I want to talk about West Point because I did some research. Let's talk about it.
Oh, yes, let's do it.
Because this is something I love. So West Point, and Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which for the youngins listening was back in the 90s.
Yes.
I feel very old now all of a sudden. Back in the 90s, it was, rather than have a gay ban on the military, which they had, they just said, don't ask, don't tell, which is you cannot ask someone if they are gay. Right. And if you are gay, you should not say you are gay. And if no one asks and no one tells, then they can't kick you out. But if someone asks or does tell, or you do tell, then they get to kick you out. It was the dumbest thing. It was talked about as if it was a step in the progressive direction.
No.
It is not.
Nope.
All right. So this was repealed in 2011. Finally. The comic came out in 2009. So her origin was relevant for all of 2 years.
Oh, no. Well, I guess it was a flashback. So it was set a few years
Right.
before.
It's always going to be set. And I like how they got around it but in the show, which is like this special elite academy that's not the military. It's something else. But here's the other great thing. Like I was doing a little research. According to a 2015 article in Vanity Fair, West Point now has its own gay straight alliance. It's called Spectrum.
I thought it was going to be like the Kate Kane celebration club.
I mean, that would be great.
That would
but apparently everything's cool if you're gay at West Point now, which is not entirely surprising. The armed forces have always been full of gay people.
How'd you guys feel about that scene though? Because I really liked it. That whole
the scene's great.
Okay.
The scene's great. The scene is that she'd rather be kicked out and lie is wonderful.
Yes.
It's somewhat strange though that then she takes on a career hiding her identity. Right? Like that's all superheroes do is lie.
That's such a good point. There's always that cognitive dissonance with superheroes, right? Because there's a bit of that with Superman too, where he's so honest, except when he's hiding everything from the people he loves.
Right. So that's a little weird thing.
That is weird. And it feels like it's solvable, though. I feel like a scene could have solved that like conflict about why it felt different. Like a conversation about it would have been enough to make it not weird, I think.
Yeah. But in general, I like it. I like it feels real and it feels lived in a way that some of the other stuff doesn't.
I agree.
But there clearly was a lot of research done to get the right military slang in there. I love one of my favorite things is Kate referring to Batman as high speed, low drag.
Yes.
Is great. It's a military slang for the real deal, like not for posers.
It cracked me up. I'm so glad you said that because I and TJ has also just been watching Fast and Furious. So my brain was like high speed, low drag. She's making a car reference. I was very confused.
No, it started as an expression for missiles.
I love it. That makes way more sense.
And it kind of trickled down into soldier talk. And it's like if something's high speed, low drag, it's like the best. And only the best use it.
Love
it. Overall, did you guys think the queer rep was good or no?
It's good for the time. I think it was really good for the time. I think again, if it was written now, it would be different and it would be better.
Yeah. And yet, as you're saying, there's still not a ton of queer characters in DC Comics.
Not.
So
I gave him 2 more, and I'm gonna do my best to add to that. But
maybe they'll date Kate Kane at some point.
No. Never. She's a hot girlfriend.
I know. Yeah, my brain went to, how there's all those Marvel titles. It's like Squirrel Girl defeats the Marvel universe. I just suddenly was like, Kate Kane dates the DC universe.
I would like to see it.
right, I'll tell you what is going to happen. If we get more books, there's
Please.
definitely going to be a scene where someone is going to warn the main character away from Kate.
Yes. Okay, I would love that. Where they're like, look,
it's like whatever you do,
she is not worth. I know she's pretty, but she's not worth it. It's too
stay away
much,
from that one.
Such drama. You do not need that in your life.
What would you two rate this book 1 out of 5 batarangs?
I'd give it a solid 4. Like, it's a good read. It's a beautiful read.
Mm-hmm.
The story is fun. The drama is like it's a nice thrill ride. There's not a lot of meat to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not something that'll stick with you. Obviously, I'd forgotten the werewolves.
I don't love the werewolves though.
Right? But it's a good like, I feel like everyone should read it. So I would put it at maybe a 3.5 or a 4. Like, it's not a 5, but it's fun. And it's like for what it is, which is a serial story told in 22-page increments, it is exceptional.
Yeah.
Like, the writing is more than serviceable. The art is amazing. The lead is fun. The Alice, though she could be a little more well-defined, is at least someone different. She's got a cool look. She, keeps razor blades with her own logo under her tongue. That's nice.
We love it. And aesthetic is good.
That's fun. The aesthetic is good. I like the werewolves. I like how they fit into the plot and the motifs of the story, which I was not expecting.
Yes.
I like the flashbacks. I do wish that her mom wasn't fridged to give her motivation.
Was fridged. Yeah.
Sure was fridged. Like, that was another thing.
Okay, but what if her dad had been the one that died? Now, that would have been great if it was her mom and her.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen that. That's
right?
Because, like, there's not a whole lot of good moms in comics. So, yeah, let's bring in...
Comics does hate moms.
See, here's the thing, though. Her mom probably wouldn't have told her to become Batwoman.
Yes.
Like, that's not a mom move. That's a dad move. He's like, I want to be a vigilante. And mom is like, no, you don't, sweetie. And dad is like, let me get you a costume.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think for me, this is sad because the rating has dropped over this conversation.
Oh no.
I'm not gonna lie though, because I also binged it just like TJ. We're both in the middle of semesters right now, so I binged it and I just finished it and I was like, yeah, this is a 5. I love it. And as we were talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't like that. I also didn't like that. So I'm gonna land at a 4 with you. I think
it's a 4. I think it's a solid 4. Like,
I still really love it. I think the aesthetic is incredible. Kate's look, Alice's look the whole time. I love a look. It's fun. I love
how Kate looks outside of costume. Yes. That's something a lot of people forget, is to give characters a style when they're not superheroes.
Yes.
And I love that she has one.
Yeah. I'm here for it. Yeah, I love that her signature red frequently pops up in her regular outfits as well. Like, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was fun, and it had a lot of problems. But it had a cult and it had a werewolf, so that's always going to get at least a star bonus from me.
I will say one positive thing, and it's queer representation, because I do think this needs to be said.
Please.
All the lesbians in the book, of which there are 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. Yes, 4.
Yes,
4. Because there's Kate's girlfriend in the beginning. There's Maggie. There's Renee. There's Kate. 4.
Yes,
they all look like lesbians.
Yeah,
and that shouldn't be as big a thing as it is.
No, but it is. That's fair.
Like, I love Kate's girlfriend, who is unnamed in the beginning, and she's got this like big amorphous shirt on. It's buttoned all the way to the top, and it's like, yes, I know 4 people who dress like that.
Yes.
Do we think the illustrator just Googled lesbian?
If that's what it takes, I'm not going to begrudge anyone.
Yeah.
But they feel like queer women in a way that sometimes queer women don't in other media. And
I think that's fair.
And that's a huge thing. And I want to give it props for that. I want to celebrate that, because certainly, and I doubly feel this as a trans woman, there are frequently trans women in comics who do not look like trans women do in real life. So it's fun to see queer women who look like queer women.
Absolutely.
Especially even in their underwear, which was nice.
Yes. TJ, what do you think? Where did it land for you?
Shockingly, I agree with all of you. And I also went with a 4. So the first half I didn't love it, but I did love the art. And then the second half kind of had everything I was looking for in terms of character beats and emotion. So I really loved all the flashbacks. And but yeah, the ending left, I wanted like one more issue of like Alice coming back for one big fight. But I'm holding out for that Tim Drake cult sequel with the werewolf boy coming back.
I will write it. Don't worry. I'm gonna write you a gay werewolf that's in love with Tim Drake. It's
Excellent.
coming.
Yeah.
Yes. So the question that we ask all of our guests is, if you could write a story, there's no editorial restraints on you. You could write any Bat Family story. What would you write?
All right. Well, let's see. I may pitch this eventually, so I'm going to talk about it in oblique terms.
Ooh, okay.
But there is a King Arthur, like a proto King Arthur story. So it's a medieval lay where a woman is rescued from a tower by this incredibly beautiful magical knight. And he rescues her and then is like, all right, go about your business. That was nice. And then leaves, and she follows him all the way to his home, which is a castle in a fairyland. And in this castle, he is just a bunch of beds and a bunch of knights in full armor sleeping on these beds. And he goes into an empty bed, his bed, and falls asleep. And the idea is that these knights are awoken when they are needed, when an adventure needs to happen. Mm-hmm. And they come out and do the adventure, and then they come back to this castle.
Yeah.
And I would like to tell a Batman story where this happens.
Oh my gosh.
The girl comes to Wayne Manor and sees all these beds of Batman, of all the different types of Batman. So you have like the movie Batman, you have the Silver Age Batman, the Golden Age Batman, the Batman who uses guns, the Dark Knight Returns Batman, and they're all there, and like they rise to do their story, and then they go back and they're attended to by various Alfreds. And like, I want to tell that story, and I have a story that uses that in a larger context that maybe one day I'll pitch. But like, that's my Batman story. And again, it's definitely something that we would need editors to be like, tell whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
Because it's out there. I would love to tell that story of
so fantastic.
Of the Wayne Manor and the mini Batmans.
I love like meta deconstructions of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that would be so fun. Well, I'm going to buy 10 copies of your DC book to make it happen.
Oh yeah, please. Buy a bunch of Galaxy.
Yes.
You should also buy it because it's a really good book. Like, honestly, it is the best thing I've ever written so far.
Oh, that's so exciting.
And the art is just breathtaking. And it's just a really different type of story than DC normally publishes. And I'm really grateful that they took a chance to tell this very particular story because they very easily couldn't have. And they said yes. And like, I will say it's been really great working with the people at DC because the stuff that they wanted to change, none of it was any of the gay stuff.
Good.
It was really nice. Like they had, my editor on this is great because she is a very structurally minded person. And I'm like, oh, who cares about pacing when we can fit a joke in here? And so she's able to like reel me in that way and kind of give things a nice structure. And that was most of her notes were structure based and story based and not, we need to take away the gay stuff. So that was real. So it was really a joy to work with her in that way.
Yeah.
That makes
and to
me
work
so
with
happy.
DC.
Yeah,
so
that is exciting.
It's so I have nothing but good things to say about my experiences there. And the book is really great and true to what I wanted to tell. So I hope you guys enjoy it when it comes out, which should be fall of 2021.
That's exciting.
With everything goes to plan, which of course with pandemics, who knows?
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, I'm gonna read it and then I'll bother you on Twitter about it.
Absolutely,
yeah,
same.
And
it is no bother to talk to me about my homework.
And speaking of Twitter, where can our listeners find you on social media and online?
Oh, sure. I'm Planet X on Twitter. Also Planet X on Instagram. And that's where I am. Talking about bullshit and posting pictures of my outfits and the food I make. That's, if you are interested in outfits and food, do I have the Instagram account for you.
We love it.
Well,
Jadzia, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a blast.
This has been delightful. Yeah, it's so great to talk about Bat stuff because I'm a huge nerd.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So it's great to be on here. And I'm glad we got to talk about lesbian Batwoman.
And next episode, we're talking Gotham Academy Volume 1.
By Becky Cloonan, Brendan Fletcher, and artist Carl Kerschel.
With an amazing guest, we have Jeremy Lambert coming on, who has written for Doom Patrol and is currently writing for Buffy the Vampire Slayer over at Boom Comics.
Yay, you know I love that.
Yes, Gotham Academy is one of my favorites. I'm so excited to chat about it with Jeremy and you, and for everyone to hear our thoughts on it.
Yeah, and I'm excited to pick Jeremy Lambert's brain, maybe get some spoiler hints for that Buffy series. I may have an agenda here, everyone.
Will we talk about Buffy? Well, we do every other episode, so probably. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Gotham Outsiders. You can find me, Chris, on Twitter at The Myth of Psyche, where I talk about feminism, queerness, and frequently Batman. And you can find my co-host, TJ,
at Troyfin2 on Twitter, where I talk about all things book related and occasionally Batman related, although a little bit more frequently nowadays.
And you can find Gotham Outsiders on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Gotham Outsiders, where we talk about Batman all the time. So join us next time, same bat time, same bat place.